Hey animators, so here's a quick look at installing and using smarterBake. It's a little bit different to my other tools in that it is Python. So you've got to make sure when you're copying this code, import smarterBake, and then this is the main function you run to actually run it, that you copy this onto a Python shell script rather than a Mel one. Or if you're putting it in the command line, that you switch that to Python, or the same thing with the script editor, you make sure you put it in a Python tab. It's compatible already with Python 3 in Maya 2022 and newer, so it'll run in older versions and the current version of Maya. And then the script itself, the name is honestly a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Maya has a smartBake layers thing, and the reason I call this smarterBake is because you're not letting Maya make the decision, you're actually making the decision. And I'm going to say that the animator is generally smarter than Maya, so that's kind of the name. Basically, it was just a way to simplify baking, because I use the layers all the time, particularly I was working on Horizon Forbidden West there for a good few months. And, you use layers all the time when you're working with mocap, but even working with regular keyframe animation, I find layers are really amazing. Like one of my mentors a few years back, Marco Folia, I used to use them all the time, and it really opened my eyes to how powerful they can be. Some people are a little bit wary of them, they seem complicated and that kind of thing, and I totally get that. But the idea behind this tool was just to sort of simplify the workflow with them. It's basically what I'm going to, just to show, I've got like this kind of blocked out kind of idle cycle I'm working out with this guy. So if I create an anim layer, actually I won't use my own marking menu here, I'll just do it from the normal menu because everybody else will have that. So I create a layer from selected, and it's created a new layer with no keys on. So I'm going to set a key here, and then I'm going to select maybe another key, maybe down here. So basically I want them to kind of transition into sort of an idle or like a crouched version of the same thing. Maybe have them lean forward a little bit, or tilt them a little bit. Bit of a hard transition, so I might just soften that a little bit. Anyway, this isn't an animation tutorial. This is just me demoing this very quickly, so I'll go with that for now. So say that's what we have. You want to merge that down to a layer, and that's why I work. I don't really leave animation layers in my scene, particularly if I'm handing off to somebody else. But even for my own sake, I just find it simpler just to put something in, make the change I want, and then just bake it down. I work very iteratively when I'm working, and I find that having a lot of layers adding up here just kind of complicates things. You start losing track of what's keyed where and all that kind of stuff. So I like to keep that super simple. Just put in a layer, make the changes I want, bake them back to the base layer. So I'm constantly just working with the regular keyframes. But when you go to the normal Maya one, you've got a few settings. You can do what's called smart baking, whereas it'll try, you see there it's added an extra key there, which I didn't want it to do, because it's looking at where the keys are changing and where it might need to. And it's reasonably clever about doing it, but it can sometimes create results you didn't necessarily want. If I go back to the base layer, I just want to keep these keys. The other way you can do it is you can go into merge settings, open up the option box and switch off smart bake, and then just pick sample by and pick how many frames you want to sample by. And again, that's, it kind of works okay, but it's, I want even frames. I want to just keep the keys I have already. So that's the whole idea of this tool, is rather than using Maya's inbuilt one, I don't even need to select the layers or anything like that like you do with the normal one. I just select the control and I hit smarterBake, and it finds the layers that are on the control. And it just bakes them down, but it only bakes them on the existing keys on the base layer. So if I wanted to capture more information from that layer, all I have to do is just go to the base layer, maybe set another couple of keys around here, because here's where it's kind of easing in, and maybe another key here. And now if I just run smarterBake again, now it'll key on those frames. So basically I'm kind of choosing how much information I want to capture from the new layer I've added in. If you don't use layers, you might find this a little bit new. I really feel like this tool makes it a little bit easier to experiment with them, just to try them out. And I say once you get used to using them, get into the workflow of them, you'll find them incredibly powerful. Another thing I often do with them is, say I want to just reduce something. Say like he's actually, maybe I feel like he's the whole movement there he's doing on his hips is too big now. I'll just create an override layer instead from selected, and I'll go to that layer and I'll just set a key in this first frame. And I'll just turn the weight down to maybe, 50% or 60%. Now he's doing the same move, but a lot less. And then again, I can just hit smarterBake. And now I've made that change. Rather than going to the graph editor, I've kind of quickly damped something. So I hope people find that useful. Cheers.